Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm the Takanome, and welcome to my humble slice of the internet. That is my Twitch channel and YouTube channel, actually. How is everyone doing today? Hope that you're having a good day today, maybe even a good week, and if that has not been the case, maybe this reading stream could be a bit of a bright spot to your day. And we have a first from Mythical over on Twitch. Hey, Mythical. Felt like I saw you or spoke to you not that long ago while we were hunting monsters. And we also have a hello from Erudite. I'm at work making pizza sauce and can't really type without gunking up my phone, but I'm here, no worries. I apologize. I gave you the notification that I was going to stream tonight a bit late, but I'm glad to see you here as well. And Mythical said that was years ago. That was not years ago. That was minutes ago. Nevertheless, we are here for the reading stream, and tonight we will be apologies. We will be continuing the story of Clockwork Twist, Book 9, Home by Emily Thompson. Now, for anyone who may not know who the author is, maybe this is your first time on this stream, allow me the opportunity to introduce Emily Thompson to you via their bio. Emily Thompson is a non binary author and artist originally from Northern California. Although they adore steampunk and all things Victoriana, they also write science fiction and fantasy. After studying film and animation in university, Emily changed to a Japanese language focus and studied in Tokyo. After receiving a language degree and spending a number of years abroad, they now live in Washington and spend most of their free time writing in coffee shops, painting, crocheting plushies, coding, and playing lots of cozy video games. And that is our author. And it's been a while since I've said this, but another fun fact about our author, we went to school together for 1 year in Japan at the esteemed and rather glorious university in Tokyo called Waseda University. And that is the first time we actually met. We had Japanese class together, and we have been friends since. It's been nice. In fact, you know what? This is for the author, since I know that they're listening. I will say 2 words, and I believe the author would instantly understand exactly what I'm talking about. And it's melanpon. Melanpon. Well, I guess I should say the melanpon incident, but this shared inside joke knowledge there, if you will. But before we continue on with the stream, let's see, do we have any news? Any news for this channel? Well, of course, tomorrow for the Americans out there, it is daylight savings time. So when you wake up, you'll wake up an hour later than you normally would, or earlier than you normally. Depends how you want to look at it, but we will be going forward 1 hour because we cannot decide what time we want to stay on. So have fun with that next week. But as a result, we will still have Community Day tomorrow. We'll be playing Stardew on the Discord channel. In which case, I now have to do calculations for South Africa, which, now that our time is changing, makes it a little confusing, but we manage. From the author, ha, such defiance, yes. That was. I certainly was speechless when he did that. You know what? I could tell the story really quick for anyone who may be curious as to what we're talking about with the melon pond incident. And I promise we will get to the main story tonight. This is just an appetizer, if you will, of stories. So, when the author and I were studying was studying at Waseda for our study abroad, we went to different schools in the U.S., but we were under not the same program. Even were we under the same program? No, not the same program because we were not in the same region of the U.S. Anyway, all that aside, we managed to be in the same Japanese language class at Waseda University at the same time with the same teacher. And we had one teacher named Funabashi Sensei. Let me make sure. Yes, Funabashi Sensei. Compared to our other Japanese teacher, Arai Sensei, we revered, respected, and feared at the same time. There was a lot of respect for Arai Sensei. And the way how she taught Japanese class, it was it was a little difficult, but once you got it, it stuck. I could not say the same for Funabashi Sensei. And we're certain that there were times or days that Funabashi Sensei came into class drunk. We're pretty certain of it. So one day, during Funabashi Sensei's class, we have a mutual friend. We're going to call him Jay for to protect his identity, but we're going to call him Jay. Jay brought to class a melon pan. So for pan being bread in Japanese, it's basically melon flavored bakery. So he brought it to class and he took it out in front of the teacher. And I think at first he didn't mean to just like defiantly take it out in front of the teacher. It was just more of a, I'm kind of hungry. I need to like stay awake and focus or whatnot. So he's going to go ahead and eat this melon pan. Funabashi Sensei sees him and tells him in Japanese not to eat in class. Don't eat the melon pan. And he looked at her. It was just like this pause, like, I understood exactly what you said, and I'm going to demonstrate how much I understood what you said by looking you straight in the eye and taking a bite out of this melon pan anyway. And the whole room went silent when he did that and just started chewing and swallowing away. And Funabashi Sensei, if there was a time where I think Funabashi Sensei looked defeated, I think that was it. In hindsight, looking back over our days there, we kind of did give her more trouble than was necessary. And at the same time, she was not really a good Japanese professor. In my opinion, I don't remember a lot of the things that she taught compared to Arai Sensei. But that's the incident. Our friend Jay was told not to eat this melon pan in class in Japanese. He totally understood what the teacher said and did the opposite. But yes, that was years ago. Oh, that was such defiance. And also years ago. All right. As other than that, just a reminder, 2 Saturdays from now, we will not have the reading stream. I will not be available. Next Saturday, we should have the reading stream next Saturday. I don't think anything will get in the way of that. And Monday, in theory, Monday will also be the gaming stream if you're interested in that. But I believe we are about ready to go. So, again, this is Clockwork Twist, Book 9, Home by Emily Thompson. We are currently on page 108. I might take a sip of tea before we begin. Appa's in the room with me, so if I have to stop to let him out, I will. Mm. And with that, let's begin. As twilight approached, they had a look at the airships that sat in neat and orderly rows above the harbor. Very few of the ships were marked as being for sale. Quay shrugged and suggested simply stealing the nicest one. While Jonas seemed to consider this idea, Twist managed to talk them both out of it. Committing a crime would attract attention after all. At the moment, they needed no undue scrutiny from men or fairies. Instead, they boarded and examined the ships that were on offer. Unfortunately, all of them were too large, too small, or unable to make a long journey. They eventually returned to the pirate side of the island in search of the other options. Once again, the dirty streets that wound between all of the taverns and other unsavory establishments were growing more and more crowded as the night grew deeper. Twist and the others headed to where the airships hung above a dense grove of palm trees and began to examine the ships. While none of the ships were marked as being for sale, Jonas assured Twist that most of the pirates who owned them would happily part with any airship for the right price. Since Mira could pay any price they asked for, any ship could therefore swiftly become available. Seeing that there would be many of the same problems with these airships as those on the other side of the island, this time they didn't bother touring them. From the ground, Twist and his companions pondered the value of a large, heavy airship that had lots of room for supplies or cargo, but the idea of needed upkeep or playing merchant didn't strike any of them as attractive. There were a few tiny light pleasure yachts, but Quay and Jonas warned that, while pretty, most of them wouldn't stand up to much of a fight, and none of them looked ready for a long journey. Twist himself had little to offer in selecting a craft, nor did Kima or Pamut. When asked her opinion, Kima repeatedly shrugged and said that anything would be fine. Mira, meanwhile, seemed only interested in the prettiest airships.
Oh, look at that one!
Mira exclaimed as they strolled along through the palm grove beneath the floating ships.
It's so pretty. It looks just like a bird, doesn't it?
Yes, another pretty one, Quay droned. Hang on a moment, Jonas said, looking thoughtfully up at a smaller ship that had just slipped into view behind one of the hulking freighters. That one, Mira?
Yes, the right one.
Mira confirmed.
Doesn't the front of it look like a sweet little sparrow's head? And that long bit at the side looks like a folded wing.
See that engine on the side there? Jonas asked, sounding more interested than Twist had heard him all night. It looks like some kind of turbine design. A turbine? Quay scoffed. You mean like a gas turbine? No one's ever gotten those to work. What are you talking about? Twist asked, confused. It's a fancy new idea, Jonas clarified. They use compressed air and controlled explosions to create a force or, judging by the look of that thing, a strong burst of air. For years, people have been saying they're the future of air travel. They're supposed to be faster than steam engines or even the most efficient sails. Sure, if anyone ever gets them to work properly, Quay added. The last man who got himself a patent and all that press and whatnot still hasn't gotten the thing to actually function, and that was years ago. Well, there's one bolted to the side of that airship, Jonas said, pointing to it. It seems to me that someone got a prototype working.
Where's the balloon?
Kima asked, frowning up at the airship. It was only then that Twist realized that the ship did indeed seem to be floating weightlessly above the ground, for no obvious reason. The whole of the ship had the smooth, continuous shape of an elongated egg, with a decorative looking large section at the narrow front that did look rather like the underside of a sparrow's head from this angle. A long lump sat against most of the side that Twist could see, looking much like a folded wing. Nestled just under this protrusion sat a bullet like hunk of smooth metal that Twist assumed was this daft and impractical sounding engine. At the far end of the craft was a long and slender tail that ended in a very fine point, stretching easily 20 feet out behind the ship. From below, Twist couldn't see the top of the craft, or indeed any balloon floating above. The belly was perfectly smooth and pure white like the rest of the ship, apart from the soft glint of silver on occasion. Unless the ship was somehow entirely weightless, Twist couldn't figure out how it managed to stay aloft in the air like a soap bubble. It looked as if, without the rope tethering it to a nearby palm tree, the ship would float up and away into the deepening night. I like it, Jonas declared. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's a good size for us, too. But how is it staying up there in the air? Twist asked. Fairy magic? Quay offered, sarcasm thick on his voice. No, no. There's no magic on that ship, Pumbit said seriously, with a shake of his head. He was joking, Jonas muttered to the boy. Oh, Pumbit said, seeming confused. Let's go find out who owns it, shall we? Jonas asked, turning to head back toward the town. They came upon a small hut at the edge of the palm grove. A man sat just outside the hut in a wooden chair, a half-empty bottle in one slack hand, his head falling back against the side of the hut as he snored loudly. Jonas didn't bother to wake the man, but instead stepped into the hut, leaving the others outside. Through the open door, they could see that inside, Jonas found a large ledger on the table that nearly filled the small space. He flipped through the pages of the open book for a moment, glancing over the entries. The Storm Petrel? Jonas said, turning to speak over his shoulder. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Does it? Twist asked skeptically. It's a kind of seabird that likes to hover, Jonas explained, still reading over the book. Seems like a reasonable name for an airship, but the owner's name is Alicent. I mean, it was, but it's been crossed out and rewritten a bunch of times. Is that normal? Twist asked. Not at all, Jonas said, shaking his head as he left the hut. That's just damn ironic. I finally have the means to buy a ship, and the only one I want doesn't have an owner. Maybe this gentleman knows who owns it, Mira offered, gesturing to the snoring harbor master. The others looked to him too. He showed no signs of stirring on his own anytime soon. Well, let's give it a try, Jonas said on a sigh. Oh, that was the end of the chapter. Well, we're going to take a quick chapter break here. How are you doing, Appa? Sleeping? Taking a nap? That's cool. Hmm. Oh, that's good. Before we continue, I want to say thank you to everyone joining this reading stream. Whether you're here live on Twitch or YouTube, or you're listening to the VOD. Hope that you are enjoying the story thus far, as well as the reading of this story. And with that, we will go into our next chapter. A hearty shake and a bit of shouting managed to rouse the sleeping harbor master. What in the blazes do you want? The man grumbled, flailing to shove Jonas away. We need information on an airship, Jonas answered. What airship? The man asked sharply. Twist thought his gruff voice sounded more like an angry dog than a man's. The storm Yeah, okay. The Storm Patrol? Jonas said, nodding toward the airship. That god awful thing? The man asked with a barking laugh. They should have called it the Albatross. It's a curse, I tell ya. Never keeps an owner for more than an hour. Let me guess, lad. You just won it in a card game? Ah, don't tell me you spent good money on the thing. You don't look that green to me, he added, looking Jonas up and down. What's the matter with it? Twist asked, frowning. Some fancy new design, prototype. No one can get it to fly. The balloons work all right, but none of our owners can get the engines to fire. And believe me, plenty of men have tried. I don't know how the hell it even got here. First owner left Nassau weeks ago in a different ship. Apparently, once he shut off the engines, he couldn't get them to start again either. I'm sorry if you ain't heard it now, lads. I truly am. Oh, we haven't, Jonas said. We were thinking to buy it. Who owns it right now? Lucky for you, you can't buy it, the harbor master said with a cross expression. Last owner abandoned her days ago. He's halfway to Bolivia, last I heard. You best be on your way. Forget about that daft bird. Get yourself a nice ship that actually works. Well, what are you going to do with it if it's abandoned? Quay asked. Scrap, I suppose. The harbor master shrugged. Goodness knows no one intelligent will buy it. So, it's free then? Quay asked. The harbor master scowled at him. I didn't say that. Jonas glanced to Twist. If it's broken, you can fix it, right? I have to touch it to be sure, Twist answered. But if no one else has gotten it to work, perhaps we should try another one. Mira instantly looked disappointed. But darling, it's the prettiest ship on the island. The harbor master chuckled, looking at Mira with a knowing eye. Ah, I see how it is. Trying to please your last, are you, lad? Out of reflex, Twist nearly spoke up to correct the man, but he stopped when he realized that he was actually quite right. Twist didn't really care one way or the other which ship they bought, but if he could make Mira happy, he would surely try to. Meanwhile, the harbor master was taking a second look at Mira in the low light and apparently coming to realize that she was made of copper and crystal. It's a gas turbine engine, right? Jonas asked the harbor master. Supposedly, the man answered, turning his interest away from Mira. Never been aboard the bird myself. Well, if it is, Jonas went on, and we can get it to work, then it would be one hell of a fast ship. Since you're technically the owner, do you mind if we have a look at her? Uh, Knock yourselves out, the harbor master said, raising his hands. Actually, I'll tell you what, he added, getting to his feet. I'll come along with you, and if you can get it to run, I'll sell it to you for just double the price of the scrap. How's that for a deal? Double? Jonas asked skeptically. It's less than she sold for since she's been here, the harbor master grumbled. And a man's gotta make a living. Jonas looked at Twist. Twist shrugged. Price wasn't an issue at all, but Jonas was clearly pretending it was, so Twist didn't say anything about it. All right, it's a deal, Jonas said, offering the harbor master a handshake. The harbor master grinned like a guilty crocodile and took the handshake. He then led them to the airship on wobbly feet. Twist wondered if the man might still be a bit drunk from the mostly empty bottle he left at his hut. When they arrived at the palm tree that the airship was tethered to, the man untied one of the two mooring ropes and then yanked sharply on it. The rope fell suddenly from above, piling up on the ground as a rope ladder fell from the airship after it. As the rope ladder fully unfurled, he turned to Twist and the others. If you'll follow me, he said, turning to climb up the ladder. Jonas stepped forward first, leaving his travel bag resting against the palm tree, and followed a few steps below the harbor master. Twist and the others also left their luggage in the shadowy space beside the tree as they began to climb. Twist let the others go before him, knowing he might be a bit slow in his own climb. Even if he was growing more comfortable with heights, The idea of climbing a free hanging rope ladder was already tightening his nerves. Sure enough, his heart began to pound as he rose over 10 feet into the air. Twist focused his attention on moving upward, one step at a time, and utterly refused to look down. You alright? Jonah's voice called down from above, startling Twist by how near it sounded. Twist glanced up to find that he was only a few feet from the top now. Yes, Twist called back. He redoubled his efforts, methodically moving up the final few steps. Jonas offered his hand when Twist drew close enough. Twist took the assistance, relieved by the grounding and soothing calm he found in the touch itself and the cool white fog that billowed into his sight. He let out a held breath, finding his feet finally on solid and sturdy, sturdy floorboards. He looked to Jonas to thank him for his help, but gasped instead, seeing the airship's main deck. A flat, open deck of blonde, nearly white, wood stretched out around him, 40 feet in length and 25 feet across at its widest point near the aft, under a complete canopy of glass. The large square glass panels were joined with wooden beams, riveted together and reinforced by dull gray steel, creating a smooth and sweeping bubble over the entire deck. At the bow of the ship, the glass curved down nearly to the deck itself, opening up higher near the aft, completing the elongated egg shape of the rest of the ship. With no balloon or sails above, silvery light spilled unimpeded over the deck through the glass canopy from the half moon high in the swiftly dimming sky above. It's a good looking ship, I'll give it that, the harbor master said. Which way do you suppose is the engine room? I'm guessing down there, Jonas said, pointing to a trapdoor in the center of the deck. Opening the trapdoor revealed darkness below. Twist brought the bright light on his walking stick to life and used it to peer inside. Still useful, I see, Quay mentioned, smiling. Twist suddenly recalled it was Quay who had given him the walking stick in the first place. He nodded. It's become very useful on many occasions, Twist answered. Thank you again for giving it to me. Quay shrugged, but his smile didn't fade too quickly. Twist turned his attention into the dark space below the deck and discovered it indeed looked like an engine room. He climbed down the narrow stairway to a metal landing only 10 feet or so below the upper deck. Reaching the landing and using his light to see by, Twist found a control in the darkness that filled the space with a warm glow from uncovered gas lights set high in the walls. Now able to see properly, Twist shut off the light in his walking stick and took a better look at his surroundings while the harbor master followed after him. Seeing that the room was somewhat small and the others waited on the deck above, peering down through the hatch. Twist and the harbor master seemed to be in a sort of cube of metal and glass, barely 10 feet square. Though the two opposing walls of heavily reinforced glass, Twist could see that the airship's hull appeared to be entirely open and hollow, creating an enclosed space that stretched from tip to tail and downward a good distance as well. The other two opposing walls in the square room were covered with valves and levers, with a small, heavy iron door in the center of each that more than likely was meant to contain a fire. The complete lack of coal dust in the room, however, confused Twist. Apparently, the fires were fed by something else. Although Twist heard no rumbling fires now, the room and the air felt unnaturally warm. Well, what's that? What? The harbor master asked, frowning around at the cold engine. Twist shrugged and put his hands to the closest bit of metal wall, between a couple of gauges. Closing his eyes, Twist pushed his sight into the machine beyond. Even though the engine was currently inert, Twist's mind flooded with information as his awareness billowed into the complex systems that powered the ship. At first, Twist was baffled by what his sight showed him. None of the strange mechanics were familiar to him in the least, but he felt lost in a black and haunted forest of metal. But slowly, as he waited for the torrent of new information to fit itself into his mind, some of it started to make sense. He heard the harbor master speaking to him, but Twist's attention was too busy to give the man's hmm. But Twist's attention was too busy to give the man's words any meaning. Instead, Twist vaguely raised his other hand, silently calling for patience. Twist suddenly realized why this engine was so confusing to him. It wasn't truly a steam engine at all. In fact, it didn't even use water. Instead, it was designed to draw a pocket of air directly into the furnace before him through an intake mounted outside. Once the air was drawn in, it was heated by the furnace, which seemed to burn oil rather than coal, and then the air was forced into a highly pressurized chamber where it seemed that, for reasons Twist struggled to imagine, a small amount of flammable fuel was introduced and ignited. The resulting mixture of flame and hot air was then directed out through a turbine that was mounted on the outside of the ship. How such a machine could possibly function without blasting itself to pieces was well beyond him. Along with powering the engines, however, there was another way that the heated air was used. It was only through exploring with his sight that Twist realized that the entire underside of the hull of the ship wasn't solid at all. It seemed to him to be made of the same material as a dirigible balloon, and the space around him was filled with heavy compressed heated air. The airship was in fact one large balloon, with a glass covered deck sitting right on top of it, and two daft explosive engines bolted to the side. Suddenly, a new thought occurred to Twist. Since it seemed that a lot of the airship's weight was on the top of the lifting balloon, why didn't the ship flip right over thanks to simple physics? Startled by this idea, Twist pushed his sight deeper into the airship's construction, looking for an answer to this. Twist soon discovered that what had looked like folded wings actually were folded wings of light metal and fabric that might stretch for 50 feet to either side when extended. They were also mounted just below the center of the ship's mast, but on opposite sides of the ship, and were each rather heavy indeed. The engine room he now stood in was also hanging below the center of gravity as well. Twist let out a breath of relief, realizing that all of this seemed to subtly control the orientation of the ship. Apparently, they wouldn't have to worry about flipping over at all, especially with the wings extended. That's extraordinary, Twist remarked, taking his hand away and opening his eyes. He found the harbor master watching him with a skeptical expression. You have some kind of sight, don't you? Yes, I do, Twist said. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention it. Ah, lucky you, the harbor master said with a grin. Anyway, do you think you can figure out how this thing works? I can see how the engines are supposed to work, Twist said, frowning now. But the design is very strange to me. I can't tell what is wrong with them. Perhaps if we could start one up, that might help. But it seems that they don't run independently. Twist then set about doing all the things his sight suggested. The two furnaces were brought to life, burning oil that fed from the large reservoirs suspended below their feet, and the furnaces filled the square glass encased engine room with a throaty growl. Next, the turbines outside were sent spinning with cool air, fed through the apologies, fed through from the driving fans. Noticing a control that seemed important, Twist switched the airflow to feed the warm air into the furnace through the turbines. So far, so good, the harbor master said, watching as Twist worked. I've seen others get this far before, but they never managed to get the ship moving. Twist once again touched an unused lever to open his sight to the workings of the engine. Everything seemed to be operating as intended, and he was surprised to find that he still couldn't detect any damage anywhere in the mechanism. He also noticed that although the turbines were running, expelling heated air, they didn't seem to be creating enough force to move the airship much at all. With nothing left to do, to his knowledge at least, Twist pulled another important looking lever. His sight showed him that the fuel line, which introduced the propellant into the pressure chamber, was opening. Rather than emitting any of the fuel into the chamber, however, the fuel line itself suddenly shut itself as if by recoil. The engines gave an annoyed sounding whine as well. Startled, Twist pushed his sight deeper, searching for the cause. Ah, there's the bad sound, the harbor master said on a chuckle. I've heard it before. I did try to warn you. Twist, still following the triggered command to its source, didn't answer. There was a mercury thermometer mounted directly against the outside of the combustion chamber, on a freely spinning mount. When the mercury rose to a certain point, Twist could tell, it would tip downward on its mount, pressing against another control. At that moment, however, the chamber is still far too cold to cause the thermometer to turn. The chamber needed to be hotter. Without speaking, Twist reached up to turn a valve wheel, releasing the pressure in the chamber, but allowing more free, heated air into it. You don't give up easily, do you? The harbor master marveled as Twist hurried to the other side of the engine room to do the same thing to the other engine.
The chamber isn't hot enough yet,
Twist explained, still holding the second valve wheel and watching in his mind's eye for the thermometer to tilt. It took a few minutes, but eventually Twist sensed that the thermometer had turned, touching the control. He tightened the pressure on the air once again, on both sides of the engine room, and then took hold of the lever that controlled the fuel. Remembering that the ship was still tethered to a palm tree, he did his best to only let through a tiny amount of fuel, and only for a moment. The airship moved suddenly, jolting forward as twin tremendous explosions blasted their way through the turbines. The harbor master, stumbling to keep his footing, let out a startled sound. Frightened somewhat, Frightened somewhat himself by the sheer force of the blast he created with such a tiny amount of fuel, Twist made doubly sure that the lever was set to allow no more, though. Well, that's never happened before, the harbor master exclaimed. How the devil did you do that?
My sight,
Twist said with a shrug.
it helps in times like this.
Indeed, I see it does, the harbor master said, nodding. Well, do you think you could get more than just a little jolt out of her?
Yes, I can,
Twist answered. He'd seen all that he needed to, and so began to shut the engines down completely once again.
If we weren't still moored to a tree, we'd take off right now. There's nothing wrong with the engines. You just have to know what they need.
Here we're going to take a chapter break. From Erudite, every time you mention Appa, I imagine a huge flying bison crowding you out of a room. Surprisingly, Appa does not do that. Instead, that is Momo. Momo will crowd me out of a room if you give her the chance. But Appa is sitting, actually lying in the little cat tree behind me, enjoying his nap, I suppose. Maybe enjoying my voice. I'm not sure. Appa is a cat of few words. Mm. Oh, that's still good. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Clockmaker tea. I thought I had another bag of Clockmaker tea tonight, but it seems that I don't. So instead, we are drinking the Fairy Queen. And I really love the packaging for this. But the Fairy Queen ingredients are white peach, white tea, peach, lemongrass, lime peel, and rose petal. This is the tea that I believe is criminally delicious, and I'm surprised that it's allowed to see the light of day. But if you also want some questionable tea that should probably be behind like tea bars or tea gel, let me tell you about a tea shop in Seattle, Washington that regulars to this channel absolutely know where I'm taking this, but for those who do not know, boy, are you in for a treat. As I tell you about the tea shop in front and Seattle, Washington, called Friday afternoon. I may be a little tired, but you know what is not tired? These teas from Friday afternoon. And again, this is the tea shop in Seattle, Washington. And no, this is not a sponsorship. This is an unsponsored sponsorship where I just decided to talk about their tea because why not? They're not stopping me. So if you go to the website, www.fridaytea.com, you will find a wide selection of teas that I'm very positive will tickle your taste buds. And if your taste buds have not been tickled before, well, they're in for a treat. Allow me, if you will, the opportunity to tell you about one of the teas on their website. It is called Druid's Dreams. Druid, like a druid, and it's their dreams that we're going to talk about. It is part of their TRPG classes. It's literally tea, like to drink, and then TRPG classes, spells, and potions collections. And it is part of the spring fandom rotation, so that means it is available from now until June 3rd. But here is the description of this tea. Love the feel of earth beneath your feet and the sound of wind through the branches. Feel an affinity for wild creatures. Are you a huge plant nerd? Welcome, you found your tea. Earthy fig and mushroom meld with fresh and cooling blackberry leaf and tulsi. This blend may not have any caffeine, but you might find yourself buzzing with a floaty body high sensation. Pour full thermos and go explore nature with a new frame of mind. Note: all ingredients are culinary grade and legal, with no psychoactive properties. We just got a real fun body high when testing this recipe, as one may experience with some oolongs and heichas. The ingredients in this not drug induced tea: fig, reishi mushroom, burdock root, blackberry leaf, tulsi, and elderflower. And there are some reviews. 4 reviews. I forgot to do that. I forgot to find out what I need to allow to let this through. But the first review here is a 3-star review. It says, "Would love this with more fig. Was hoping for a fruity fig forward flavor." A fig forward flavor. That's what it says. With some woodsy notes. I couldn't taste any fig, so this ended up too herbaceous for my preferences. Okay. So this person wanted more fig in their tea. The next review is 5 stars. In the woods. Sipping this is like getting your nose up in the moss under a 500-year-old maple in the middle of a healthy forest in springtime. Very descriptive. Very earthy, but like I'm a gardener and I want to steal this dirt to grow prize winning vegetables kind of way. I'm in love with this stuff. Definitely going to be a regular bedtime treat. That was a review. That I've never seen a review like that on his website before. The next review is also 5 stars, one of my favorite herbal teas. Tastes like a walk through the woods in the spring and summer. This is a tea I will come back to again and again. Less than 3. And last review here, also 5 stars. Love. Amazing and delicious. Drink it as my morning tea today and fell in love. Well, those are some pretty positive reviews if I do say so myself. And again, you can find all this tea and more on their website, www.fridaytea.com. Again, www.friday, like the day, and tea, like the drink.com. And again, they do not pay me to do this. They do not ask me to do this. They are not bribing me. They are not blackmailing me. This isn't a hostage or negotiation situation that we're dealing with. I enjoy their teas, including the Fairy Queen, which is criminally delicious. Mm. Like, seriously, Fairy Queen should not be this delicious, but it is. I know they have some other delicious teas. I believe they have like a gingerbread house tea that sounds too decadent. That might actually be more criminally delicious than the Fairy Queen. Hmm, apologies. Let's see. Oh, before we go into the next chapter, I want to thank you all for joining this stream. I appreciate all the support that this channel receives. Well, these channels, I have to remember I'm now streaming on YouTube as well for the reading stream. But I do appreciate the support that these channels receive, whether it is what's the word I'm looking for? Whether you're lurking or you're in chat, if you have likes, if you follow, subscribe, tell friends, tell family, tell your dog, tell your cat. If you have a gerbil, let the gerbil know too that I do reading streams and that I'm pretty sure the gerbil will enjoy it as well. From, okay, I remember how to pronounce this, Zaza Dali. I'm hoping Zaza is okay. I'm If you're okay with me calling you Zaza, I'm definitely going to do it. But Zaza Dali says, been lurking, but want to say your voice is very soothing. Thank you very much. That is a quarter of the reason why I do the reading stream. Zaza is my name, so I'm cool with it. Lol. Got it. Okay. Also, I'm just going to throw it out there. Zaza is not only a unique name, but I think it's a very cool name as well. As a person who has a unique name myself. And no, I don't mean Taka. But I believe we are about ready to go. Again, everyone, thank you for joining the stream. I do hope that you are enjoying the story as well as the reading of this story. And with that, let's go into our next chapter. Is everything all right? Jonas asked as Twist and the harbor master emerged from the engine room and onto the glass enclosed deck above. What happened? He got the engines to work, the harbor master said, pointing to Twist. I've never seen anything like it. Many men have tried for days to get this thing to move, but give this one 5 minutes, he fixed the bloody ship. The ship wasn't broken, Twist countered, uncomfortable with this praise. It's just made to keep itself from exploding. I think you have to heat the metal of the compression chamber before adding the fuel. There's a heat sensor on the inside. It stops the fuel line if it's too cold. All you have to do is loosen the compression on the furnace outlet valve until it's hot enough. The harbor master listened to him with a frown. Sorry, lad, I didn't catch a word of that. Jonas chuckled while Twist shot the men a glare. Well, what do you say, Twist? Jonas asked. Do you think you can handle this bird? I can make the engines propel it forward, Twist said with a shrug. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it. Do you have any idea how to steer it? Jonas asked. There's a load of controls over there, Twist said, pointing to the bow. I didn't really pay much attention, but I saw something that looked like a rudder in the tail and a helm at the front. Nothing looks unreasonable. Are there any cabins on this ship? Mira asked. Good question, Poppet, Jonas said, clearly surprised that no one had thought to ask that yet. Search me, the harbor master said with a shrug. Maybe in the aft, Twist guessed. He couldn't remember there being many mechanical workings, but there did seem to be something back there. At the very least, the weight of it was helping to keep the ship stable. He and the others went to explore. The glass covered deck ended at a flat wall of blond wood at the back, with a single door in the center of it. Beyond the door was a narrow hallway, with a door on each side, another at the far end, and a narrow stairway leading down one level. Small windows in the ceiling at the hall of the hallway let moonlight into a somewhat one moment. Small windows in the ceiling of the hallway let moonlight in to somewhat illuminate the space. They opened one of the side doors to find a small but pleasant enough cabin with large square windows in the far wall, enough room for a single bed, trunk, or wardrobe, and maybe even a vanity or a desk. There seemed to be four cabins like this one, two on this level and two on the level below. The larger cabin through the door at the far end of the hallway, was, which was nearly twice the size of the smaller ones, had a full wall of gently curving glass at the back. This cabin also had a twin on the level below, which housed a small kitchen and dining area, along with a water closet that seemed to have a bath as well. Well, I say that's enough room for us, Jonas remarked. Am I the only one who notices the complete lack of defenses? Quay asked. There's no guns. The belly is made of fabric and the top is glass. We'd be sitting duck in any fight. I'm pretty good at avoiding that kind of trouble, Jonas said with a shrug. True, said with a nod. I remember. Twist, Jonas asked, turning to him now. How do you think she'd do on a long journey? It doesn't use very much fuel, Twist offered, and the tanks are fairly large. I can't be sure until we actually get flying, but I can't think of any reason why it wouldn't be alright. Good enough for me, Jonas remarked. Shall we have a look at what's in the bow? They all walked to the front of the ship, where they found another single door in a flat wall. This close to the bow, the glass canopy drew down low enough to nearly brush the top of Twist's silk hat, and he noticed Quay, with his height ducking slightly. Apologies there. The width of this part of the deck was also greatly reduced to little more than 10 feet across. Beyond the door, a few short stairs led down into a room the shape of a half moon. The top half of the curved front wall was made entirely of reinforced glass panels, while the lower half was made of a long counter like surface that followed the same curve. Ahead, Twist could see a pointed bow, shaped not at all unlike the beak of a bird, stretching out from just under the windows. Controls sat in orderly patches on some areas of the counter, leaving room for maps and charts on the open section. In the center of the room stood a small helm wheel, which Twist instantly assumed would move to steer the ship to turn both horizontally and vertically. A spiral stair placed to one side led into another room below. Twist found that, just as he guessed, much of the engine could be controlled from this lower room as well, as it was filled with war controls and gauges. So much of the walls were taken up by mechanisms, in fact, that there were only a few small windows down here. And the gas lamps mounted on the ceiling would surely be a welcome help. Twist imagined he'd likely spend most of his time here, rather than in the engine room. Well, the harbor master said as they gathered on the deck once again, now that I've seen her, I can almost understand what all the fuss has been. But without a sight like his, he added with a gesture to Twist, I don't think anyone could ever fly her but the daft boffin who invented her. So, how about it? Are you still interested in buying? Well, are we? Jonas asked, looking to the others. I think it's a beautiful ship, Mira announced happily. Quay snickered but gave a shrug. It's fine with me, Kima offered. I like that there's enough room for all of us, she added. How about you, Pumpet? Jonas asked, looking at the boy. What do you think? Pumpet appeared at once confused and also alarmed that his opinion was being requested. Well, he began hesitantly at first. All of the iron and steel is good. Faye hate iron. The harbor master frowned at him, clearly confused. And you can handle the engines? Jonas asked Twist again. Sure, Twist said.
It's a bad design, but I can make it work.
Anything to add, Adair? Jonas asked. Just a lack of defenses, Quay answered. But as long as we don't get into a fight, we might be alright. Well, I like this ship a lot, Jonas said, smiling as he looked around at the glass covered deck. It's silly, fast, and there's plenty of sky. We agreed on twice the price of the scrap, didn't we? He asked the harbor master. I'm starting to think I sold short, the harbor master grumbled. But yes, that is what we agreed. Jonas looked to Mira. She was already holding her purse in her hands, and she opened it to look inside. She reached in and pulled out a handful of golden coins. The harbor master's eyes widened in surprise as she approached him.
Here you are,
She said, dropping the treasure into his cupped hands.
Oh, wait,
She murmured, pulling out another handful.
there, that's all of it.
She announced, closing her purse and putting it away again at her side. The harbor master examined a coin and a bit on it with his teeth, expecting the result. I really undersold, he muttered. Are you happy with your price or not? Jonas asked him casually. Assuming it's not cursed or anything, the harbor master said, eyeing Mira's purse. Like Twist, he seemed to realize that the purse was too small to hold the amount of gold she produced from it. But I'd be bad to refuse gold for a ship that I was only going to sell for scrap now, wouldn't I? I say it's only fair, Jonas replied. Here, you're selling us a prototype airship that might explode at any moment, but probably won't, and we're paying you with treasure that we solemnly swear isn't cursed by leprechauns. The harbor master shook his head. When you put it like that, then we have a deal? Jonas asked. Yes, I say we do, the harbor master said, stuffing his treasure into his pockets. I'd also say that you people are the strangest bunch I've ever met. Thank you, sir, Jonas said, dipping a short bow. Twist did his very best not to chuckle. Here we're going to take another chapter break. So I'm going to have to apologize to everyone. I believe we're going to do one more chapter tonight. Apparently, I did not have as much energy as I thought I would for tonight's reading stream for the full hour and 30 minutes. But nevertheless, I do hope that you are enjoying the story thus far, as well as the reading of the story. And I do not say this enough, but thank you all for joining this reading stream, whether you're here live or listening to the VOD or whatever the VOD is called on. I guess it'll be a VOD on YouTube. I'm not certain. I am not familiar with YouTube terminology. But nevertheless, I do appreciate all the support that this channel receives. I appreciate that you guys are here. Gonna do a little stretch here one more time as we get ready for the final chapter for tonight. Also, I feel that tonight I feel more confident with my mirror voice. As you may know, mirror is the hardest voice for me to do consistently with every reading stream. But I feel tonight has surprisingly been a good night for Mira. I will say the hard part has been differentiating Harbor Master from Quay because they had similar voices. But it is what it is. Take one more sip of tea. Mm. And with that, we're going to go into our final chapter for the evening. Again, I do apologize for ending the stream a little early, but I'm not sure if I can make the last 30 minutes. So, let us go into the final chapter for the evening. One moment, there's something stuck in my mouth. I think it's a tea leaf. I think it's gone now. I hope so. That was that felt very weird where it was located. Okay, let us go into the next chapter. Now that a deal had been struck, Twist and the others collected their luggage from where they left it beside the palm tree. Kima seemed familiar with the mechanism that the rope ladder used. It was spring loaded, and a sharp enough jerk on it from the ground sent it shooting back up to the airship, while another brought it back down. They then boarded the new airship to check on the supplies. The kitchen was devoid of all food but a single withered carrot, and the engine oil, fuel, and lamp gas levels were all relatively high. The previous owners had left furniture in a few of the cabins, but some were completely empty. They would have to buy a few more items to be comfortable. Twist's watch showed that it was already drawing close to midnight, so a thorough resupplying would have to wait until the morning. Kima and Mira went out with Padma to gather the items he would need for his spells to protect them in their dreams. Meanwhile, Twist, Jonas, and Quay set about moving all of the bedding on hand into the largest cabin on the upper level. Pamut had mentioned that this would be the best situation for his magic, so they all decided to share one room for a single night and make more permanent arrangements tomorrow. Once they dropped the final frameless thin mattress onto the floor of the large cabin, stepped back to examine their work. There was now an array of softish things cluttering the floor, leaving enough room for everyone to find some level of comfort. Jonas? Quay asked, his voice thoughtful. Jonas glanced at him. Tell me honestly, do you really believe in all this fairy tale nonsense? There's about 1,000 places I'd rather go than off to visit the Vimana, he added, grumbling. Jonas shook his head, dropping down to sit on one of the thick blankets. I don't blame your skepticism, Adair. I never believed a word of any of this evil fairy nonsense until I actually saw the damn creatures and their nefarious intentions for myself. You saw them? Quay asked, sounding worried. Jonas and Twist shared a saddened smile. Twist finally remembered his own solid, unshakable knowledge that fairies didn't exist. Of course, once the evil winter fairies had stolen Mira away, forcing Twist and Jonas to mount a rescue, all of his views on fairies had been forced to change. In Jonas's eyes, he saw a mirror of his own feelings of nostalgia for simpler times, when djinn, vampires, and magical foxes were the silliest things they believed in. Do you want to hear the story then? Jonas asked Quay with a listless air. Why not? Quay said, dropping down to sit on a mattress. You've been dismissing me with a lot of it's a long story for a while now. Twist sat, Twist sat down as well, leaning against the wall not far from Jonas. Perhaps telling the tale again would make it sound more reasonable. Apologies. I think I just heard gunshots. One moment. I will be right back. I'm going to play some music and we'll continue the story after I check on some things. Welcome back to the reading stream. I just checked around our place, and with Miss Taka, she's all right. And we discussed it. It did sound like it could have been gunshots, and only about a minute ago we heard sirens. So, but we're okay here. I don't see anything around. I'm not sure exactly where it took place, but it sounded a bit close. But we should be okay. Where were we? I believe. Okay, I'm looking at the chapter here. We're going to start back at the top of this paragraph where Quay said that he would like to hear the story of what happened. Glad y'all okay? Me too. I too am glad that we're okay here. So we're going to go back to the start of that paragraph and we're going to tell Quay the story of the Fae. Twist sat down as well, leaning against the wall not far from Jonas. Perhaps telling the tale again would make it sound more reasonable. Jonas warned Quay to only listen quietly, lest he inadvertently say something to draw fairy attention. With the charm Quay now carried, he might be invisible to them, but if they were listening closely, the fairies might hear his voice. Quay shook his head in disbelief but made no protest. And then Jonas began to tell the tale of the witch's son and the split soul. Twist joined in the story on occasion, adding details or explanations he felt were lacking in Jonas's interpretation. Together, they swiftly laid out the legend that surrounded them as told to them by the enthusiasts of the tale and by Mama. They then explained to Pamut that they then explained that Pamut had been replaced by an infant. Apologies, I cannot read right now. They then explained that Pamut had been replaced as an infant by Storm, the satyr who had recently tried to kill Twist and Jonas before finally being captured. The tale made its way swiftly through the journey to Atlantis with the Rooks and to the sudden disappearances of Tasha, Mira, and some other Rooks. Twist found himself reliving past thrills with a pleasant detachment as he and Jonas told of their harrowing flight from the lair of the Winter Fairies and of the rescue of their friends. All the while, Quay remained silent. His expression flitted between disbelief, astonishment, confusion, and occasionally fear, but he waited nonetheless for them to finish. And then, Jonas said with a sigh, Aiden let us leave Atlantis and dropped us off at the nearest port. I took Twist for a drink, turned around, and there you were, passed out drunk in a corner. And that's it. Quay shook his head slowly, his dark eyes filled with thoughts. So, you're friendly with magpies now? He asked, seeming confused. Some magpies, Jonas said with a shrug. Not Aiden anymore. But there's Tasha and Nico and Sky, Twist added. She's a rook agent we know, he said to Quay. Lovely woman. Her tattoo comes to life. Yes, Quay said, looking confused again. But, John, weren't you raised by gypsies? This Mama character you mentioned seems like she might as well be your gran. Magpies have murdered as many gypsies as they have pirates over the years, and technically, you could count yourself as both a gypsy and a pirate. How could you ever come to think of any magpie as a friend? It's complicated, Jonas said. Honestly, it was only ever Tasha, Nico, and Sky who became our friends. None of them have ever done anything against us, or any of my kind for that matter. Aiden might have tricked us into complacency, but he showed his true colors in the end. Quay shook his head. I lost my brother to those bastards. I don't think I could ever get past something like that. I thought you said your brother left you, Jonas mentioned. He did, Quay said, his tone souring. He was older than me by a few years, but he was still really just a boy when he stole a ship and set off pirating on his own. Left without a word. Apparently his ship had been found shot to pieces by magpie guns. You know as well as I do that no pirate ever finds a fair hearing in a magpie court, and that's only if they can be bothered to bring them to trial. More often than not, they just kill them right then, and then they leave their bodies to the sharks. Twist listened with a heavy heart. Though he clearly tried to hide it with anger at the rooks, it wasn't just the thought of his brother's death that pained Quay. The betrayal at being left behind by his brother was clear in Quay's voice, even after so many years.
But you know, Twist offered, if your brother had brought you with him, you would have been killed as well. In a way, he saved your life.
Quay looked up to Twist as if insulted. Then slowly, his anger melted away. I never thought of it that way. It's a fair point, Jonas said, shooting Twist an approving look. But honestly, Adair, he went on, I tell you, a satyr nearly shot me in Atlantis, and the point you can't abide is that I befriended 3 specific magpies, and one of them is a beautiful celebrity magician you know? Sky's pretty easy on the eyes as well. And hell, even Nico's rather attractive in a spooky kind of way. Twist laughed at this assessment of them.
Yes, now that you mention it, they all are rather good looking. Never mind their bravery, fierce loyalty to us, or collective genius.
Nah, that's all icing on the cake, Jonas said with a flippant air. I just like them because they're pretty. Twist chuckled. Do you two do that a lot then? Quay asked, watching Twist and Jonas thoughtfully. They both looked to him, clearly not understanding. You know, Quay said, waving his hand at the two of them. The way you sort of randomly slip off into your own little world. It seems like a nice enough place, but I can't fathom how you get there. I don't remember you doing it before. Twist and Jonas glanced to each other, but Twist found nothing but a mirror of his own confusion and awkward uncertainty in Jonas's eyes. Maybe that's it, Quay went on, pointing at them with a smile now. It's not that you're less violent now, Jonas. It's that Twist brings out another side of you. A side I've never seen so clearly before. Well, congratulations, Adair, Jonas said stiffly, crossing his arms. I don't think I've ever felt so self conscious in my life. I hope you're proud of yourself. Twist glanced back to Quay, feeling rather uncomfortable as well. Mira might occasionally make an offhand comment about he and Jonas sometimes, talking without talking, whatever that meant. But now Quay was analyzing something similar between them as well. Twist thought back over their conversation, but found nothing that felt at all amiss to him. Oh, and that was the end of the chapter. Everyone, once again, thank you for joining this reading stream, whether you're here live on Twitch or YouTube, in chat or you're lurking, or if you're listening to the VOD on either channel. I do hope that you enjoy the story as well as the reading of the story. I've now also learned that I cannot keep doing Quay's voice long term because it does things to my throat. But still not the hardest voice to do in this entire series. For me. For Mythical, nothing like anxiety or adrenaline to keep a stream going. I am honestly finding myself ready to fall asleep. But I'm going to stay awake for a little bit more, but I do not believe I can do the next chapter any justice with how I'm feeling right now, so we're going to save it for next time. But again, everyone, thank you for joining the stream. I hope that you enjoyed the stream tonight. We should do another reading stream next Saturday. The following Saturday, the 22nd, will be no reading stream. And I believe that is everything. So again, I'm going to wish you all a wonderful evening, a wonderful day, or whatever time it may be for you. Let's see. I know you wanted to go like 30 minutes ago. Then y'all heard the sirens. Yeah. I'm not sure I want to say it got too warm here. Now, people are doing weird things, but to reiterate, we're okay here. I don't see any damages around the house or anything like that. It seems like it happened maybe no more than 5 blocks away from us. It was pretty close, but we're okay. And yes, I'm just happy that I'm happy that people were able to still hang out with this reading stream and enjoy a story. But I'm going to hop off. I'm going to rest, hopefully, and I will see you next time. So until then, take care and bye bye.